My date Sarah said, "I can't be with someone who lives like this," when she saw my cheap apartment. She had no idea I was testing her before showing my $50 million penthouse. My name is Marcus Rivera, and this is the story of how I hid my wealth to find true love, only to watch the gold digger who left me experience the biggest regret of her life. But before I tell you what happened that unforgettable evening, let me know in the comments what city you're watching from. And if you love relationship dramas and karma stories, don't forget to subscribe because you're going to want to hear every detail of this story. I'm 32 years old and a technology entrepreneur in San Francisco. At 25, I sold my AI software company for $150 million. I also made early investments in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and my crypto portfolio exceeded $200 million. On paper, my life was perfect. $350 million net worth, a $50 million penthouse in Nob Hill, 5 supercars in the garage, and a worldwide real estate portfolio. But something was missing: true love. The problem was that once my wealth became apparent, women's attitudes toward me completely changed. Suddenly, I became much more interesting. My jokes became funnier, my ideas smarter, even my appearance became more attractive. That's why I made a decision 2 years ago. I would hide my wealth until I found true love. My first experience was a disaster. I had met Jennifer, a 29-year-old marketing director. In our first dates, we had built a very sincere and real connection. We had common interests, read the same books, loved the same movies. 6 weeks later, I decided to tell her the truth. I took her to my penthouse in Nob Hill. The moment she stepped inside, everything changed. Her eyes lit up, her voice rose, her behavior became completely artificial. "Oh my God, Alex, this is incredible. You're really rich. This penthouse is amazing." 3 days later, she proposed marriage to me. The same woman who had said, "It's too early to talk about marriage," 6 weeks earlier. That night, I understood everything. I would never find someone who loved me before learning about my wealth. That's why I rented a small, modest apartment in Mission District. 1 bedroom, small living room, old furniture. Monthly rent $2,800. Daily coffee money for me, but it represented a middle-class living standard. I carefully decorated this test apartment. IKEA furniture, decoration items from Target, a few cheap posters on the walls, normal brands in the refrigerator, pasta, and canned goods in the cabinets. I parked an old Honda Civic in the garage. 2015 model, 120,000 miles, a few scratches. My real cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, were safely stored in the penthouse garage. My clothes matched this too: H&M t-shirts, Zara pants, Nike shoes. Instead of my luxury watch, a $50 Casio. Instead of designer bags, a normal backpack. I prepared my dating app profiles accordingly. Profession: software developer. Hobbies: hiking, reading, cooking. Photos from the test apartment, in front of the Honda Civic, at modest restaurants. There was nothing implying wealth. No exotic travel photos, expensive restaurants, luxury cars, none of it. I always had my first dates at mid-range places. Starbucks coffees, casual restaurants, free museum days, park walks. This strategy gave interesting results. Some women disappeared after the first date. They clearly didn't find me successful enough. This was actually a good filtering system. But some showed genuine interest. They enjoyed spending time with me, trying to get to know my character instead of focusing on my financial situation. Until I met Sarah Williams. When I saw Sarah on Hinge, I was impressed. 28 years old, beautiful, educated, social media marketing specialist. Her profile was stylish but not exaggerated, her photos natural and attractive. Our first messages were very good, intelligent, funny, interested in art and culture. Berkeley graduate, good job, living on her own in San Francisco. Our first date was at a small cafe in Union Square. Casual clothes, modest atmosphere. We talked for 2 hours. Books, movies, travel dreams, childhood stories. Sarah was really interesting. Not just beautiful, but also intelligent and ambitious. She wanted to start her own marketing agency. She had life goals, but there were also small signs. Her glances when evaluating the table and restaurant, checking what other couples around were wearing, a small hesitation when the bill came. Our second date was a walk at Fisherman's Wharf, a more relaxed and intimate atmosphere. Sarah opened up more. We talked about her family, career, future plans. "I really value financial security," she said at one point. "When my father left my mother, we struggled financially. I never want to be in that situation again." This was an understandable concern, but I wondered what she exactly meant by financial security. Our third and fourth dates were also good. Alcatraz Island tour, picnic in Golden Gate Park, watching movies in Castro. Each time Sarah became a little more intimate, but questions were also increasing. "Do you work from home? How many people work at your company? What are your future plans?" I kept my story consistent. I said I worked as a freelance developer at a small tech company. My income varied according to projects. I hadn't yet achieved big success. On our fifth date, Sarah started asking more direct questions. "Marcus, you're very secretive. You never talk about your family. You speak vaguely about your job. Are you hiding something?" "No," I said. "I'm just private, and we're still in the getting to know phase. Marcus, we've been seeing each other for 6 weeks. Isn't the getting to know phase over?" She was right. After 6 weeks, more things would normally be shared in a relationship. "Look, Sarah, I've had problems when I opened up too quickly in the past. I want to be careful this time." This answer didn't seem to satisfy her, but she dropped the subject. On our 8th date, Sarah began wanting more proximity. "Why do we always meet outside? I want to see your home." That moment had arrived. It was time to show the test apartment. "Sure," I said, "but it's not a very luxurious place. Keep your expectations low." "Marcus, I'm not a materialistic person. I'm curious about how you live." These words were hopeful, but my experiences made me cautious. That Saturday evening, I invited Sarah to the test apartment. I checked everything beforehand: cheap products in the refrigerator, second-hand books on the bookshelf, old model television, IKEA furniture. When I opened the door, Sarah was smiling. "Finally, I'll see Marcus's secret world." When she entered, Sarah's facial expression slowly changed. She looked around: small living room, old couch, laptop on the coffee table, frameless posters on the wall. "Cozy," she said, but there was no enthusiasm in her voice. I showed her the kitchen: small, old appliances, normal brands. "I like cooking, but I'm not a professional chef," I said, laughing. She murmured. I showed her the bedroom: IKEA bed, cheap sheets, small closet. "I prefer living minimalist." "I see," she said, but her tone had changed. We returned to the living room. Sarah sat on the couch but looked uncomfortable. "Would you like something to drink? Water, tea, or—" I opened the refrigerator. "Regular beer?" "Water would be fine," she said. While bringing her water, I saw her examining the surroundings. She looked at the TV, 32-inch, old model, looked at the laptop, MacBook but old, looked at the books, used books. "Marcus, how long have you been living here?" "About 2 years. "And do you like it here?" "It meets my needs. I don't spend much time at home anyway." Sarah fell silent. She took out her phone and looked at messages. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Yes, just different from what I expected." "What were you expecting?" "I don't know, something more." I prepared dinner: simple pasta, market salad, regular wine. During the meal, Sarah was distracted, looking at social media on her phone. "How's work going?" I asked to open conversation. "Good. How about you? How many projects did you get this month?" "A few. Enough." "What do you mean by enough?" "Rent, food, basic needs. Not a luxury life, but comfortable." Sarah frowned. "Marcus, you're 32 years old. What's your career planning? Is this the forever plan?" "I'm happy right now, Sarah. I can always make more money, but this lifestyle satisfies me for now." "But the future? Marriage, children, buying a house?" "Of course I think about it, but it's still early." Sarah put down her fork and looked directly. "Marcus, I have to be realistic. I'm 28 years old, and I want a serious relationship. I can't see building a future together with this lifestyle." "What do you mean?" "This apartment, this lifestyle. This is a 22-year-old college student's lifestyle. We're adults, Marcus." "Sarah, happiness can't be bought with money." "No, but security can be bought. Stability can be bought. Good education for children can be bought." The conversation was getting heated. "I'm not materialistic," Sarah continued, "but I have to be realistic. You might be content with this situation, but I'm not." Sarah stood up and took her bag. "Marcus, you're a good man, really, but I can't be with someone who lives like this." "Sarah, wait, let's talk." "What are we going to talk about? You're 32 years old living with IKEA furniture. You have no career ambition. You have no future planning." "This is unfair, Sarah. You've known me for 6 weeks." 6 weeks is enough time, and what I saw today explains everything. She walked toward the door. "I want a real partnership, Marcus. Someone who can build a future with me. This apartment, this lifestyle. This isn't the future I want." "Sarah, please." "Sorry, Marcus. You're a lovely man, but I deserve more." And she left. I watched her get into the Honda Civic from behind the door. She started the car and left without looking back. That night, sitting alone in the living room, I realized my plan had worked. Sarah's true character had emerged. No money, no interest. But I was still hurting, because I had really started to love her. The next week, I checked Sarah's Instagram. Stories of fancy restaurants, designer cocktails, selfies at luxury bars. 2 weeks later, a new man appeared. David Kushner, 35-year-old investment banker. His profile was full of luxury lifestyle. Cocktail on Penthouse balcony, selfie in front of Porsche, dinner at Michelin star restaurants. Sarah's stories were now constantly filled with David. Perfect date night. Finally living my best life. When he treats you like a queen, each story stabbed like a knife. The woman who had talked about future plans with me just 3 weeks ago was now flexing with someone else's money. Melissa, our mutual friend, called me. "Marcus, I saw Sarah with David. Rich guy, apparently. Sarah is very excited, saying, 'Finally someone who can provide.'" This confirmed it. Sarah was really just looking for money. A month later, while walking in Marina District, I saw them. They were coming out of an expensive restaurant. Sarah in designer dress, David in expensive suit. When she saw me, Sarah's face changed. Shame, awkwardness, maybe some guilt. "Oh, hi, Marcus." "Hi, Sarah. David, right?" I extended my hand to David. "Yeah, nice to meet you." It was a condescending tone. "Marcus is an old friend," Sarah said quickly. "Ex-boyfriend," I corrected. "We dated briefly." David smiled. "I see. Well, we should get going. Table waiting at Atelier Crène. Michelin star restaurant. $400 per person minimum." "Have a good evening," I said. As they left, I saw Sarah look back, but David pulled her away. That night I made a decision. It was time for Sarah to learn the truth. The next week I posted a story on Instagram. Not the fancy parts of the penthouse, just the view. Aerial view of San Francisco Bay, lights twinkling. Caption, Home Sweet Home. Location tag, Nob Hill. I deliberately left it mysterious. This gave enough information for Sarah to Google the property location. 2 days later, Melissa called. Marcus, Sarah's gone crazy. She saw your Instagram story, researched Nob Hill. She learned property prices. She's asking if she can text you. She can, I said. I'm curious what she'll say. That evening, the text came. Hi Marcus, how are you? I've thought about you a lot since we last talked. Hi Sarah, I'm fine, thank you. I saw your Instagram story. Are you living in Nob Hill now? Yes. Moved recently? I was expecting this question. I decided to answer technically correctly. No, this has always been my real home. Mission District was a temp place. Long pause. The message showed read, but no response came. Finally, wait, what? What do you mean it was a temporary place? Sarah, this is a complex conversation, if you want to talk on the phone. Marcus, I'm feeling confused. Can you explain? Let's meet up. I'll explain everything. 2 days later, we met at the same cafe in Union Square. Sarah looked nervous. Marcus, be honest with me. What was that apartment? What connection does your Nob Hill place have? I took a deep breath. Sarah, I'm going to tell you the truth, but first I'm going to ask you a question. Why did you break up with me? We already discussed this. Humor me, real reason. Sarah became uncomfortable. Marcus, this is a painful conversation. Please. Fine, because I couldn't see a future with someone who had no ambition, no financial stability, no prospects. So because of money? Don't put it so harshly. But essentially, yes, silence. Sarah, that apartment was a test. What do you mean, test? My real home is the penthouse in Nob Hill, $50 million worth. Sarah's facial expression was like a movie scene. Shock, disbelief, confusion, realization. This isn't a joke, is it? I took out my phone and showed property documents. Deed, property tax records, everything. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I sold my company for $150 million. Crypto portfolio $200 million. Net worth approximately $350 million. Sarah was speechless. Mission District apartment was a test location, to find someone who would love me for me, not my money. You're a millionaire? Technically, multi-hundred millionaire. Sarah's hands were shaking. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want exactly this reaction. The moment you learn about money, everything changes. Sarah put her head in her hands. Oh my God. Oh my God. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I made such a huge mistake. Sarah, no, listen. I behaved totally wrong. Should have given you a chance. Should have looked beyond material things. But you didn't. Because I was scared. Financial security matters to me, but I was wrong to judge so quickly. Sarah, you did exactly right. You showed your real self. No, this isn't my real self. I really loved you. Still do. Really? Or do you love me now because you know about the money? That's not fair, isn't it? 3 weeks ago you said, I can't be with someone who lives like this. Now suddenly everything changed? Sarah started crying. Marcus, please, don't I deserve a second chance? Sarah, if that apartment had rich furniture, expensive car, would you have reacted differently? Silence. Honest answer. Maybe, probably yes. Exactly. Marcus, please, everything with David is fake. He's actually in a lot of debt too. Leased car, shared apartment, everything is illusion. This was interesting information. How do you know? I did research. I noticed suspicious things. Real rich people behave differently. He's trying too hard. Ironic, the man Sarah left me for money also turned out to be fake rich. And you realized this after? Yes, you never flexed, never showed off. Real confident wealth is like this. Sarah, this observation is too late. But not too late. Marcus, please give me another chance. To do what? To pass a second test? No, because I genuinely care about you. Sarah, if I were really living with that apartment lifestyle, what would you say now? Pause. Probably, wouldn't be here. Exactly. You want me for money, not for me. Sarah was getting desperate. Marcus, everyone makes mistakes. I learned my lesson. Sarah, your lesson is this. You didn't love me. You loved my potential wealth. That's not true. Then prove it. If I went bankrupt tomorrow, would you still want to be with me? Long silence. Thought so. Sarah tried a last attempt. Marcus, I'll break up with David. We can start fresh. Sarah, no. Ship has sailed. Please don't say that. You're a good person, Sarah, but the wrong person for me. Someone out there will share your values. But I love you. No, you love my money potential. This is unfair. Life is unfair, Sarah. You taught me that. After Sarah left, interesting news started coming from our mutual friends network. Sarah had really investigated David. The man was in maximum debt. Porsche leased, apartment shared with 2 roommates, credit cards maxed out. The investment banker title was actually a junior position. It turned out David had been manipulating Sarah. He was also gold digger hunting, but in the opposite direction. He was looking for rich women to marry. Sarah had been double scammed. She had left me for money, moved to a fake rich guy. Melissa told me Sarah is devastated. After learning David's real situation, she broke up. Now she's alone and regretful. Karma was working with perfect timing. 3 months later, I met Emily, literature professor at Berkeley, a genuine, intelligent, authentic woman. With Emily, I used the test apartment again for our first dates. Her reaction was completely different. Cozy place, she said. Beautiful books. I see you're a reader. The modest lifestyle didn't bother her. Conversations were deep and meaningful. Money never became a topic. 6 months later, I told her the truth. Real estate, penthouse, wealth, everything. Wow, she said. That's impressive, but doesn't change anything between us. Doesn't change anything? Marcus, I didn't love you for money. I loved you for your character. This information is interesting but irrelevant. That night, I knew I had found true love. Emily and I got engaged a year later. I posted the announcement on Instagram. Emily beautiful, proposal on penthouse rooftop, ring exceptional. Sarah immediately texted. Congratulations, Marcus. She's very lucky. Thank you, Sarah. Marcus, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever think about what could have been if I had reacted differently that day? I thought about it carefully. Honestly, Sarah, no, because your reaction showed me who you really are. Emily loved me in the test apartment and loves me in the penthouse. Real love isn't conditional. I learned from my mistake, Marcus. I hope so, Sarah, for your sake. Would you ever forgive me? Sarah, there's nothing to forgive. You were honest that day. I appreciate your honesty. But we could have been happy. Sarah, we could never be happy because you never really loved me. You loved an imaginary version of me. Final message. I hope you find someone who loves you for exactly who you are. Today, I'm happy to be married to Emily. The Sarah experience was painful, but necessary. Lessons learned. First, true love is unconditional, with or without money. Second, testing is painful, but effective. People's true nature emerges under pressure. Third, karma always finds a way. Sarah's gold digger hunting led her to a fake rich guy. Fourth, wealth can complicate relationships, but real love transcends material things. Fifth, sometimes losing someone is actually winning. Losing Sarah led me to finding Emily. This story is about money and love, the struggle between materialism versus authentic connection in the modern dating scene. Sarah wasn't a villain, just misguided. Society pressures women to seek financial security, but there's a difference between security and greed. I'm lucky because I had the resources to test. Most people don't have this option, but regardless of wealth level, character testing is possible. Emily would be happy eating ramen noodles with me or caviar because she loves me for who I am. Sarah is still searching for someone who can provide. I hope she finds true love too, not just money. What did this story teach you about relationships? Share in the comments. If this karma story added something to your life, don't forget to like and share. And if you love dating dramas, don't forget to subscribe because I'll tell you many more stories. My name is Marcus Rivera. I used to hide my wealth to find true love. Now I'm happy in an authentic relationship with Emily. And Sarah is still looking for the right provider. Sometimes the biggest loss is actually the biggest win.